here. And I'm so glad you could join us for another artist talk. We have a wonderful artist with us today, a member of our Clay Guild. And if you know anything about the Marco Island Center for the Arts, you know that we have an enormous group of such talented artists who work in clay, and this is one of them. So I want to welcome Bea Stinson. Hi, Bea. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing very well, thank you.
Well, Bea, I know that right now in our main galleries is a very special exhibition. It is the Clay Guild Holiday Show. There are, I've got to say, 15, 20 artists whose work is on display. And of course, you are one of those artists. Can you tell us a little bit about the show?
Sure, we do the show every December, and it's the art of all of the Guild members. This show is probably one of the best shows that we've done. I mean, I've been part of the Guild now for about 4.5 years, and have watched these artists emerge from, their techniques changing and evolving into such amazing art that you can really see the training that they've gotten and the work that they've done through the art center to have, wall hangings and all different forms of art that are, just organic and non-organic types of forms. They're beautiful, beautiful pieces. I encourage everybody to go out. They've already sold quite a few, so get down there and you can, have good pickings for the holidays. But the art itself is just magnificent.
It certainly is, and we encourage people to come down to both peruse and to purchase. Marco Island Center for the Arts is open Monday through Friday from 9 to 4. And if you have concerns or are interested in a private showing, you can call the Art Center at 239-394-4221, and we will make arrangements for a private tour sometime between 4 and 5 at a day. So Bea, let's learn a little bit more about you. Now, you said you've been a Clay Guild member for about 4.5 years, but how did you get your start working with pottery and working with clay?
I started in clay in 2001, and I was going through a time where I wanted to be much more artistic. I was in the business world and didn't have a creative expression. And so I looked at photography and I looked at, textiles, and I looked at all of these different forms of art and ended up trying pottery. And as soon as I put my hands in clay, I knew that was it. I mean, it just hit to the soul of me. And I guess it's that earthiness, your hands are in mud, which brings you back as a child. And so I worked at the Tyler Center for the Arts in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, and went once a week for classes there and for open studio time. And I did mostly functional work. So I made lots of mugs and bowls and plates and and vases and things like that. And I have a whole bunch of stuff that we use, different serving platters, and really that was my focus. And then I was doing that for about 9 years, and then life changed, and I took time off, and I put my husband is giving me a sign, and it's really distracting.
Well, my husband was just calling me on the phone, and I'm clicking the off button. He should know. He knows every Tuesday and Thursday I'm talking to people.
It's like, okay, I'm busy here. Anyway, so working, I took this time off. I took about 8 years off, kept all of my tools, but when I got back into it, I honestly didn't even remember what the tools were for. So I started taking beginner classes and really got the feel of play again.
And this was here at Marco Island Center for the Arts.
I took it at Marco, and I took beginner classes, with Rinnie and with Barney and with Sandy and, all these wonderful teachers that are at the studio. And then took workshops in Tennessee and in Colorado and different areas where they were intensive workshops. And then just practicing. I mean, I'm in the studio every day. and just practicing on a daily basis and just experimenting. And I just look at, I play with clay. I'll try so many different techniques. I'll look at Pinterest and I'll see something. I look at something that's made of glass or something that's made of wood and say, I wonder if I can do that in clay. And so I've been playing, and I think you can see my signature is the copper leaf.
I was about to say, this is a piece I'm not allowed to touch. I know I'm being slapped on the head. This is a piece that is in our exhibition right now. It has a smaller piece right next to it. And I just have to ask you, because I love when there are these pieces with this metallic, shiny, it almost looks like there's something lit up from inside of it. Can you tell us a little bit about the process by which this happens, that you use to create this? Seriously, it looks like it has life inside of itself. It's really dynamic.
It really is amazing, and it's because of the shape of the piece. But basically, I throw on the pottery wheel. I make the vase piece itself. I usually carve it because you need to have that opening through the whole front of the piece, so that the light will really reflect into it. So I carve all different types of things. I have a piece up here. Well, I should have had it. And this is carved with actually using a hole puncher, and cutting that out. And then I glaze it. I biscuit and then glaze it. And once it's all finished, then I put an adhesive in it, and I use real gold leaf.
Wow.
And that comes in sheets, and it's very delicate to work with, and it's very time consuming to work with, and I do all of that and coat the whole inside of the piece with the copper, or I use silver, there's a combination metallic which has a bunch of different colors in it that you can use. So I do that on the inside, and because of the shape of the piece itself, it really reflects the light within the piece, and that's how you get that. It looks like there's a light in there, and there isn't. It's amazing.
It is magical, and I love these pieces. They are so beautiful. But now, this was very different. When we were down in the exhibition and we were picking some pieces to bring up here today, this looked very different. I wasn't even sure that it was one of your pieces. Can you tell me a little bit about the process here and what you're doing at this point in time creating work like this?
Well, what I was looking at doing is working with a multimedia, where you're doing something organic on something static. And so that's a collage. Basically, I made the vase and then got through a hand building process, because hand building is a critical part of pottery. Through a hand building process, I cut out pieces of clay and textured them and layered them, and then and rolled little coils and put them up like sticks, and then fired them and glazed it, and you pick those colors for the glazes. And then after it was all fired from the glaze process, then I got feathers and beads and wire and attached them onto it. So there's a lot of 3 dimension to
it. It's stunning. And I know this piece is entitled Feathers, and both of these pieces will be moving back downstairs to our gallery, where they will reside in the Clay Guild Holiday Show exhibit that we strongly encourage you to come down and see for yourself.
Yes, please.
Now, I know clay is your passion and your art, but I also know that this fall, you were one of the students in one of our online classes. I think you took Tara O'Neill's drawing class. Can you tell us a little bit about the decision to take a drawing class, what the online experience was like, and if it's had any impact on your clay work?
Absolutely. I wanted to take a drawing class because I felt, as I'm doing more, decorative work on my pieces, that drawing is an integral part of that, and proportioning things out. And having an understanding of drawing, I knew would help with decorating my pieces. So of course I went to the Marco Center for the Arts, because that's my expertise is there. And Tara is a renowned artist, and she was giving this drawing class. And because of COVID, I did not feel comfortable in a group environment. So I decided to take it online, and it was a great experience. There were several of us in the class. Everybody got a chance. She was really able to first of all teach us how to draw, and then to evaluate our work, because she was able to see what we were doing. We could reverse the camera and show her the types of things that we were doing. The other people in the class could see what each of us were doing, so we were able to learn from each other. And we just had a great experience. And I really found that I'm not that bad of an artist. I always thought that I couldn't draw, and stick figures were, the extent of what I can do. And, drawing a hand or drawing a piece of my pottery, because, we had to do a still life. And of course I did it of my pottery. So it was really, it gives you a different type of an eye when you look at things. And it was just a great experience. And Patricia from your office did a great job with setting it up and filming it and making sure everything worked. So it was a wonderful experience. I would definitely take another virtual class.
Well, I am so happy to see that. We are going to be offering several of our virtual classes, January, February, March, April. We have set up our studio here where instructors can come and teach. And I'm thrilled to hear that it was a positive experience. I know some of the virtual students have really found it to be both a learning experience and a social experience. And we've had people who want to study with their favorite instructors, but they're not in Marco right now. They may be in Canada or aren't traveling. And so we've really been able to keep our Art Center family connected through these classes. And while if you're on Marco and you want to take a class, we do offer them on site. We do limit the number per classroom. Everybody is in their own station. We do not allow you to move, and everybody must be masked. But there will be some classes on site that we will run if we get enough enrollment. But if you're interested, and I know I've talked to Tara too, and drawing is really where you want to start from, because from that you can build out to painting and other mediums. So I highly encourage you, if you are interested in starting on your artistic journey. And as Bea said, she didn't think she could draw anything, and suddenly she started working. And we all have those creative impulses in us. And right now, being able to express them and finding a purposeful and constructive and enjoyable way to create is something we all can appreciate and benefit from. Now, Bea, my last question to you is, who or what has been a major influence on your work, on your artistry?
Well, I have to say my dad. My dad was an oil painter. These are his paintings behind me.
Oh.
And we just grew up with art. He was always painting. There was always a painting going on. Anytime we went on vacation, we went to art museums. Of course, as a child, it was really boring to do that. But my sister and I have such an appreciation. Yeah, when you're like 8 or 9, being in an art museum isn't all that exciting. But we lived in the New York area, so there were some fabulous art museums. And so, just seeing the art and learning about the artists, because all the books in our house were about Michelangelo and Da Vinci and Raphael and all of the major artists, and the discussions in our house were about artists and, sculpture and all of that. And so I really grew up with that view of art and my father's passion for art. I mean, he passed away right when he was like 90 years old, and he was working on a painting. And I had that painting in process. It was, painting Niagara Falls. So it's just been a part of my life, my whole life. And finding that passion for pottery, and he was around to see my passion for pottery, which was wonderful. And to share that with him was really special. Definitely an inspiration for me.
That is truly lovely. Thank you for sharing that story. I think many of us develop our appreciation for the arts when it is passed down from parent to child. And I certainly know I took my children to a fair number of museums, and while they didn't appreciate the museums or the ballet or the opera or theater then, they do now that they're adults. So I think that is a wonderful story and such a legacy with your dad for him to know that you also are an artist. That's fantastic. Well, I want to thank you, Bea, for joining me. You really are. You are both an artist, but also somebody whose work here at the Art Center, your leadership and volunteering in the Clay Guild is so important. The Clay Guild is a very large, dedicated group of artists who work together. It's a very different sort of setup than you might have in another art center where the Clay Studio is only used for classes. Here, people have worked together and developed committees and really manage the space in a volunteer capacity, and we are very lucky to have all of these wonderful artists. Just in my almost 7 years, when I got here, there were probably 15 artists working in clay, and gosh, I don't know, 60, 70?
65, yeah.
That's what I figure. It is a growing group, so please check out the classes we offer on our website. We aren't offering remote ones yet, but we will work on that and see what we can do for you. Couple of things that are coming up here at the Marco Island Center for the Arts, along with the Clay Guild exhibition in our La Petite Gallery. We have Charlie Bloom Presents Memorabilia. It is some amazing show business memorabilia. We have a genuine B.B. King Lucille guitar. We have signed photographs. We've got a chair that Liza Minnelli sat in during her show, and she signed. And if you happen to be a Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons fan, we are doing a silent auction that will close December 22nd. We were able to get from Charlie Bloom, who is presenting this exhibition. The work is not for sale. It is just to view, not for purchase. But we have an original piece of sheet music for the song Ragdoll that's been signed by Frankie Valli. So if that's something that you want to add to your collection, or you know that special somebody who would just treasure that for Christmas, come on down to the Art Center, and if for whatever reason you can't come down, give us a call. We can put a bid in for you. The number is 239-394-4221. Lastly, next week on Thursday, December 17th, outdoor Under the Stars concert with Chimmy Tina. It's our Christmas concert with the jazz duo of Martina Da Silva and Dan Chemlinski. If you want to learn more about them, they'll be streaming live tomorrow at 4 o'clock on Marco Island Center for the Arts Facebook page and on our YouTube page. So you can catch it either place. They are so talented. They'll be doing songs from their Christmas album, which really takes a very, very different, very unique jazz spin on some old classics. Last but not least, remember, when you're doing your holiday shopping, consider shopping local. I know Amazon is great. I know Walmart and Target, you can order online. But if you're here and if you're comfortable, we have amazing, one-of-a-kind pieces by area artists. You are supporting the arts here in Marco Island and in Southwest Florida. So come on by. We'd like to see you, because when you cross our door here at the Marco Island Center for the Arts, you become a member of our art family. And we hope that we can be your art home. Thank you very much again, Bea, for being with us. Thank you, everybody out there. Remember, Chimmy Tina tomorrow, 4 o'clock, and we will see you next week.